On behalf of Commonwealth Shakespeare, I'd like to take this opportunity to acknowledge our gratitude and appreciation of the fact that we now reside on Indigenous territory that was once the traditional homeland of the Wampanoag and Massachusetts people. My name is Brooke Stanton, and I'm a costume designer. Have you ever wondered how people get their clothing when you're watching a TV show or a play or a movie? When I was 8, I saw the movie Star Wars for the first time, and I was just amazed. How did all these creatures get made, and how was this world created? My mom taught me how to sew. I went to college in New York to study costume design. And then I moved to California to learn about tailoring and pattern drafting, and I worked really hard in a lot of different costume shops for theater and ballet, and I finally got to work with George Lucas when he remade the Star Wars trilogy, special edition. I made Ewoks, I dressed them on set, and it was a great lifetime experience. But my true love has always been designing Shakespeare's plays. Two questions I get asked a lot are, how do you go from a drawing to a real costume? And what's your favorite show? So I'm going to take you on a short journey from sketch to stage for Shakespeare's play, A Midsummer's Night's Dream, and answer both these questions at once. The first time I designed Midsummer's, I was 15, and since then, I've worked on it 10 times. And the look is always different every time because there are different directors and different casts. The very first step, of course, is to read the play. And while I'm reading, I like to take notes and make a chart so I can see how many actors are on the stage at one time, how long they have to change between scenes, and how many scenes they're in, how many different costumes they may have to wear. Because when you read the script, it tells you the king enters wearing a crown, and the next scene, he doesn't have his crown on. The next step is I talk with the director. I ask them several questions that will determine my designs, like what time period they'd like it set in, how large the cast is. So in this particular play, you can have from 8 people playing all the different parts and doubling up, or 25 to 50 playing lots of different fairies. So you need to know if people are going to be quick changing costumes all the time so they can be different characters, or if everybody gets one costume for the whole show. And then another important question is the location and the length of the show. So if the show is outside in the summer, I outfit the actors differently than if they're inside. The costumes are built differently if it's going to be filmed versus a live performance because you have to rig for quick changing. And if the audience is very close, in a small theater, I focus more on details and textures. And if they're going to be far away, out in a meadow, on a field, or up in an upper balcony, then I have to focus more on outline and silhouette and bright colors so they can be seen from a long way away. Then I do lots of research and show the director pictures that inspire me for each character. Next, I draw my sketches. And if possible, I like to have a photo of the actor who will be wearing the costume so I can complement their body shape and coloring. This is the main difference between fashion and costume design. With costuming, I'm telling a story about this particular character before they even speak their first line. The audience knows right away that the person wearing the crown is the king. When I finished all my sketches, I meet with the director, the set designer, and the lighting designers, and we all make sure that our colors and concepts work harmoniously together to tell the whole story. Next, I meet with the costume shop team. This is the group of talented people who bring my sketches to life. Together, we sew, buy, or pull costumes. Pulling costumes means to visit a costume storage warehouse called stock, and we pull the right outfits off the racks. For the costumes that we're sewing, I shop for fabric and trims, and the cutter or draper cuts the fabric out according to specific patterns based on the actor's measurements. And then the stitchers sew them all together. Next, the costume shop manager schedules fittings with the stage manager. And this is my favorite part of the whole process. Have you ever put a blanket around your shoulders and walked around? Can you feel how it changes the way you move? You move more regally, like a superhero or royalty. So that is the exciting transformation that happens when the actors tries on their costume for the first time in a fitting. They become their character. And I ask them not only how does your costume feel, can you breathe in it, can you do all the movements you need to do, but also how does the costume make you feel? You know, is it truly your character? And hopefully it's yes. And I have an assistant designer there with me in the fittings taking notes and helping out, and we determine if they need alterations and we bring them back to the shop. I think the best part about Midsummer is when a group of amateur actors try to problem solve how they're going to put on a play. They're discussing their costumes and props, and one of them has to be a wall. So I made this sandwich board out of canvas and plaster and rubbed dirt in it to make it look all rough and homemade. But for another production, it was more modern, and I had the actor wear a rock concert t-shirt that I had just printed on it, Pink Floyd, The Wall. So if you have permission and an old t-shirt at home, you can draw on it with markers and make your very own costume. One of the funniest moments in Midsummer is when one of the actors is transformed into a donkey. You can use a hood like this, or a hat, or for one particular production, I created this magical basket head that goes over the actor. Now, this is one of the things I love about costumes in particular, but also about the theater, is that it can transform a person. It has the magic to transport a normal human being into anything else. When you're costuming for the theater, one of the difference between film and a live performance is that in the live performance, you can't do a lot of makeup because he does this transformation in a matter of minutes. He goes off stage and is transformed. When you're doing the film, of course, you can stop and put on lots of makeup and maybe prosthetic nose, and it looks really real. But I think the charm of this piece is that it looks like they are players in a woods playing dress up. Two more important people who helped me transform the actors from their normal everyday selves into whatever character they're going to be performing on stage are the hair and makeup artisans. Now, these incredible people can transform a very young person into a very old person, or change the look of a very nice looking person into a mean, scary villain. And they do so instantly. It's amazing how fast they can work. Like with costuming, the hair and makeup changes. If we're doing a close-up on somebody, you have to be very naturalistic. And if you're going to be seen from very far away, you need to be very bold with your lines. So again, we all work together to create this look, and it's just magical the way the actors are transformed when they finally get their wigs and makeup on in the theater under the lights. After all the costumes go back to the shop for alterations and finishing touches, then comes the real test, dress rehearsal. My favorite part about being a costume designer is collaborating with all the talented people that make up the theater world, and we create a work of art together. Usually, we have a month to build and gather hundreds of costume pieces, including shoes and hats and jewelry. And when everything's ready, We then load it into the theater. And then that's the first time a very important person in this whole process gets to see them all together. And that's the wardrobe supervisor. That's the person who's responsible for making sure all of my hard work looks perfect for every show in front of every audience.
Hola, hola, mi amigos, y bienvenido. Hello, my friends, and welcome. My name is Kiara, and I was Midsummer Night Dreams costume supervisor for Commonwealth Shakespeare at the Calderwood Pavilion. But wait a second, what is a costume supervisor? I work with the costume designer to make sure all the cool and fabulous costumes that they made are ready and prepared for every performance and every rehearsal. I even go backstage and change the actors during the performances. To be a wardrobe supervisor, you need to know how to do laundry, how to sew, and how to change people really, really fast. So, one time I got to change somebody in 15 seconds. Wow. Before rehearsals, costume supervisors and sometimes the costume designer will do something called a load-in. So what that means is we load in all the costumes and all the accessories that the costume designer has put together for every actor. So once we have everything inside the building, we start to basically design out where we want our actors to be placed. So with large casts, sometimes it's 3, sometimes 4 rooms, depending on the size of the cast. So there, we set up what the actor is going to need for every single show. This consists of their costumes, mostly like socks, shirts, undershirts, underwear, and everything they'll basically need. I follow something that is called a track sheet. So basically, that helps me find where the actor is going to be going off the stage and where they need to be entering. Therefore, I can find out and map out where I'm going to be changing my actor for their quick change. Quick changes are exactly what they sound like. They're really, really quick. Sometimes actors come off stage and they need to be in a different costume for the next scene. Sometimes a scene can be a minute, sometimes a scene can be 20 minutes. So it's really up to me and the actor to make sure that they are back on stage before their scene starts or on time. Have you ever had to cheer anybody up? Or maybe your friend was having a bad day at school, or maybe they just fell at recess and were really embarrassed. Well, that's what I do behind the scenes. When an actor comes off stage and they need a change for their next scene, I'm there to encourage them and make sure that they know that they are doing a fabulous and fantastic job. See, sometimes actors might feel like they're not saying their lines right, or maybe they're not getting the emotion out right. I'm there to make sure that they're not too hard on themselves, because at the end of the day, we are all trying our best. I even get to play dress up with the actors before, during, and after every show. So I usually help with the wigs and I usually help with the makeup for the actors, so we can really transform an actor. Sometimes we can make them look really, really old, or we can make them look like they have blood coming out. One time I put a bruise on a guy's eye with red makeup and it was so cool. And what's even cooler is I did it in the dark. And that was really, really hard, but we were able to do it. I even made somebody into a frog with makeup. It was really, really cool. The best part about being a costume supervisor is all the great friends and great people you meet along the way. I have been friends with some people for years, just based on a show that we did a few years ago. And that to me is just the most rewarding part of this job. It's just meeting all of the creative minds and really cool people. Last day of performances for this specific show is always the saddest for me because I just love working with the people that I usually work with. But it is the costume supervisor's job to make sure that all the costumes go back to where they came from and they're also clean. So We usually go back into the dressing rooms once all the actors have left for the day, and we clean out their dressing rooms. We clean out all of the costumes, we clean out any makeup that they may have had that was ours, and we make sure that we left the place exactly how we got brought into it. So usually clean and organized. Then we sort the costumes to make sure that they go back to their specific vendors. Usually that can take a while. After you've divided up where your costumes are going, it's something called a loadout. So different than the load in. We load out all of the costumes, and it's usually a big van, and we put all the costumes back and we bring them to the dry cleaning.
Thank you so much for joining us on this journey from sketch to stage, and I hope that you'll explore playing dress up at your house to transform yourself into whoever you want to be. Thank you.